Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Big D Bot podcast here on the Spunky Spectrum Sports Network. I am Alex here to kick things off today. And of course, I have the host with the most fresh back from a little bit of a little bit of jet lag coming back from Illinois. But the man, the Big D himself, Dylan Schmidtler. Welcome to your show, sir.
Thank you, Alice. Please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Yes, I was in Illinois for the last week and a half or so, but back and ready to rumble. So, also, if you're an audio listener, check us out on Spotify and Apple. But, Alex, I don't know about you, but when it comes to hatred, when it comes to big, when it comes to bad, when it comes to blood, vengeance. I don't think there's. What division do you think I'm describing?
I think you might be talking about the AFC North, Dylan. I think
Yeah.
the four teams in that division have a pretty long-standing rivalry and pure hatred for each other. Obviously, we know the early 2000 teams even leading into the 2010s, where we had the Steelers and Ravens going out for blood, and it's been a division that's been one of the most dominant ones throughout my lifetime. I mean, obviously the Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh has, as I think most NFL knowns, has never led to a losing season. We've seen the Ed Reeds, the Ray Lewises, the Joe Flacco's of the Baltimore Ravens eras, even now into today, where we've got the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chases of the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Browns are even turning things around. They weren't necessarily the peak competitiveness throughout the majority of the 21st century, but we're finally seeing some decent football from them as well. So it's a great division, and it's gonna be a fun one to talk about today.
Do you remember Sam Weich's quote during Browns Bengals game when he said, "You don't live in Cleveland"?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when I think of the division where there might be fights, I mean, whether it be Baltimore, Pittsburgh, or the Battle of Ohio, you might come home. You're going to come home with bruising. You're going to come home bloody. And be honest with you, you're going to feel it because you imagine playing Baltimore Pittsburgh on Thursday night. Oh gosh.
No, if you're playing a team from the AFC North, it's going to be some hard-nosed, old-fashioned football. They're going to want to hit. They're going to want to play, and it's none of the newer NFL stuff that we've come to see, out of the NFL these days. It's old school hard knock football back up there in the North.
You imagine if there had been an AFC North opponent from Mean Joe Green and the Pittsburgh Steelers instead of the Raiders. How many penalties would he have gotten for roughing the quarterback or illegal hit to the helmet?
Yeah,
Or
I know.
Jack,
I mean, just
Jack
think about how limited Troy Polamalu would be in these days, where you can't touch receivers or jump over the line of scrimmage. I mean, we've definitely seen some characters come out of this division in the past. We've obviously have some who are building legacies as we speak. Coming into this year, and it's a division with so much history, so many Super Bowls. Obviously, the Steelers being one of the teams with at the top of the food chain when it comes to Super Bowl victories in the NFL. So it's a division that's expected to be competitive here this season, and one that we've definitely not seen a lack of highlights from over the last existence of the NFL.
Well, look back. So, how about the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, they won the AFC North last year, got to host Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, and Lamar's latest segment in the playoff game. So, my question to you is simple: is Lamar Jackson the MVP of the league, or the LVP in terms of not being able to produce in January?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question with the Ravens. I think obviously we know, they've got the talent, and I guess to directly answer your question, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. I think by the time we got around to Week 17, Week 18 of last season, obviously Brock Purdy made a good run at it, but that one bad game could really dismantle an MVP run, and Brock Purdy sure knows that firsthand. But Lamar Jackson is one of the most, if not the most, electric player in the NFL. Obviously, when you think of top tier quarterbacks. He's right up there with Patrick Mahomes, with Josh Allen, with Joe Burrow. The one element that Lamar Jackson obviously has is his rushing mobility and his upside there. And he's just such a dynamic player who can really change any game all by himself. So, he is MVP caliber. He's obviously, the guy leading up into the season for the Baltimore Ravens, and he's the guy that they trust to take them onto this journey this season. But, that's really the age-old question when it comes to this Baltimore team is, the AFC is stacked. We all know quarterbacks that are in the AFC. We all know the path it takes to get to a Super Bowl, and that road goes through Kansas City. It has for the last pretty much existence of Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, and it's going to continue to do so. Can the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson get over that hump? They've got the talent to do so. It's just a matter on if, very similar to Miami Dolphins, to my Miami Dolphins, the pieces have to be clicking in December and January. And, it's hard not to trust Lamar Jackson even after, a disappointing finish to the season last year.
Yeah, it's tough but Lamar's last few playoff exits didn't go well. I mean, losing to the Chargers, a pick six against the Bills, an awful pick against Kansas City. I mean, yeah, you could blame Zay Flowers for losing his head, but there's no excuse for throwing a red zone pick. And as somebody who quarterback threw a few picks last year, picks are not good. But if you throw red zone picks, guess what? You're not going to win any games.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously nothing more killer than a red zone turnover. I mean, whether you're fumbling the ball through the end zone or you're throwing a pick, I mean, it's definitely a drive killer. It can be a game killer, and even in some instances, it can be a season killer. So the big thing is, I think Lamar can learn from that, and obviously, they did lose quite a few pieces coming into this season, but I think we'd be remiss not to mention the one very large, almost royal piece that they added this season. I think you know where I'm going with that, and bringing in Derrick Henry. I mean, it's you think about the most dynamic rushing quarterback in the NFL, and you might think, okay, the Baltimore Ravens know what their run game is, but you also look at Gus Edwards, who I'm sorry is nothing more than a guy in my humble opinion, and you replace him with King Henry, and not only are you bringing just the pure power that Derrick Henry has, and I understand, he's on the wrong side of the running back mountain when it comes to NFL careers. But when you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who honestly, it's almost like having a running back committee to where you don't have to put as much pressure on him. Lamar's going to get some reps, and he's going to have times where he's running with the ball, but just being able to have that extra dimension of Derrick Henry, I think, you don't have to give him the ball. He doesn't have to be the bell cow, that he was in Tennessee for pretty much his entire career. You can kind of limit his reps, but still make sure they're meaningful reps. I mean, on a 3rd and 1, on a goal line situation, I mean, there's no one else you want in your backfield other than King Henry. And I think it's going to add a different dynamic to the Baltimore Ravens offense, but it's going to be a huge plus for them on the same page.
Yeah, first off, I'm glad he's not in the AFC South anymore, because Derrick Henry gave me more nightmares than a Florida thunderstorm.
Yeah, I mean, he's the Jaguar killer if there is one, man.
But I do worry about Derrick Henry's yards per game average going down a little bit. Now, part of it was teams could stack the box against Henry. Tennessee's offensive line wasn't great, but you give me one of the best running backs, and Derrick Henry takes care of his body.
Yeah.
I think he's got 1 or 2 good years left in him, and Baltimore will give him every opportunity. Plus, you imagine 3rd and 1, Lamar could keep himself. Derrick Henry, I don't know about you, but if I'm a safety or middle backer, I don't want Derrick Henry running the ball.
Sure don't. And on the flip side, even if it's a passing situation, you've got Lamar who can take off and run. I mean, it's just it's such a unique 1-2 punch that I don't honestly think we see in the NFL. I mean, I can't think of a team, maybe even in the history, where they've had that dynamic of a rushing quarterback paired together with such a bruising running back. I mean, it's such a deadly combination that can torch you in so many different ways. We know what Lamar can do passing the ball. I think he's proven his doubters wrong when it comes to the throwing aspect of the quarterback position. And obviously, we know the damage he can do on his legs. You add a gigantic man built of pure muscle that he can have in his back pocket and his backfield that he can hand the ball off to. If he doesn't feel like juking people out, I mean, it's just such a scary 1-2 punch that, we're not even talking about Lamar throwing the ball, and already you're in the defense's head and defensive coordinator's head. I mean, I sure wouldn't want to be a defensive coordinator having a game plan against those two.
Yeah, in a way, I mean, is it possible that I feel like Baltimore deserves another Super Bowl appearance. I mean, for how well they have. We know Lamar's great. John Harbaugh's Hall of Fame coach. I think everybody looks at the Chiefs as a first-class organization. They've been to the last 900 Super Bowls. I think Baltimore's right up there. Great ownership, great head coach, great quarterback. They're always there. I mean, a bad year for the Ravens is a wild card exit.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, it's a franchise, as I kind of mentioned at the top of the show. I mean, you can go as far back as, the early 2000s, and you're still looking at successful teams. Obviously, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. And, it's just, it seems like no matter what decade they're in, no matter what roster they've got, they're always building a team that, comes out with positive results. So I fully agree with you. It's one of the top tier organizations in the league, and they've proven it for decades.
I think the question is with Baltimore, like a lot of teams, can Baltimore get over the Kansas City hump? And I mean, maybe week one being a good test for Baltimore, because if you're the Ravens, you want to make sure that championship game is in your building and not playing in Arrowhead.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think obviously it's great for the fans seeing a Ravens Chiefs, NFL kickoff opener. They've got that Thursday night week one. It's going to be first regular season action. NFL fans get to see this upcoming season, and it's definitely going to be a great test, as you mentioned, for the Ravens, just to kind of see where they are. I almost wish this game was a little bit deeper into the season, just so we could kind of get those first couple week jitters out, and we can kind of get a better picture of what these two teams are going to be looking like this season. Obviously, everyone has high expectations for both these teams, but you really don't start getting a true understanding of the identity of a team until you start hitting bye weeks and you start hitting the second half of those stretches. So just because I'd like to see that game as polished as possible. I do, as I said, kind of personally wish that game was a little bit later on, but it's still going to be such a fun one. And, who knows what's going to happen. Obviously, the Chiefs let one go to the Detroit Lions on NFL kickoff last season. Are they going to come in more prepared for week one this season? Only time will tell, and we'll find out on Thursday, September 5th.
Oh, yeah. So, wait, will Taylor Swift be doing the national? Oh, crap. Well, she who shall not be named be doing the national anthem that night.
Hey, I'm sure Roger Goodell's going to be pulling out all the stops. It wouldn't surprise me for a second.
or like a shirtless Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, there you go. Just have them duet it. It'll be everyone will be talking about it.
Oh gosh.
But I think it's time to move on. Let's jump ahead to one of our Ohio teams that we'll be talking about in this episode. We'll stick with the Cleveland Browns moving in. Obviously, with an 11-6 record, we've seen an improvement from the Browns from the lowly quarterback despised team that we've known and loved for so long. Obviously, they bring in Deshaun Watson and made some other pieces. Joe Flacco finishing up the season last year, and bringing the Browns to the playoffs. But what do you see out of the Cleveland Browns this year? Obviously, it's a pretty stacked division. There's going to be some serious competition, in 6 games of the year, and that's only talking about your division games. So what do you see out of the Cleveland Browns this season?
First off, I think Cleveland Brown fans will hope that Deshaun Watson can start a few games because how many quarterbacks did the Browns go through last year?
I lost count.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll find out whether or not Deshaun is really worth the contract. Probably not, because although seemingly every quarterback's getting paid now, but I'm disappointed with Deshaun. I thought he was better, and maybe the not playing for a couple of years took away some of his ability. But even when Deshaun played last year, he didn't have the same mobility we saw at Clemson or with the Texans. And when you lose that ability, a little like Russell Wilson last couple his stint in Denver, you're not the same quarterback. You can't make the same play. And Deshaun needs that ability. I mean, I like Cleveland's roster. I mean, yes, Nick Chubb coming off a major knee injury hurts, but I think Jerome Ford's more than a capable backup. I think Amari Cooper's really good. I think Cleveland's offensive line, when healthy, is really solid. And we know what Kevin Stefanski does.
Yeah.
And I think having a great offensive line like Stefanski makes sense because you could argue in many ways who was the better defense last year, Steelers or the Browns? Probably, you could say either team, but the Browns did more because then Kevin Stefanski's probably a better offensive mind coach than Mike Tomlin is defensive mind coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and you make some great points, and that's something I was going to bring up as well. Is they've got a great defense, and obviously when it comes to competing in the NFL and trying to make a playoff run, we're trying to make the playoffs, and then ideally making a playoff run. I mean, you've got to be a fully dimensional team. You've got to be covered on all pieces of the ball, and we know Cleveland has the defense. I think the biggest question marks obviously is going to be from that quarterback position. Obviously, Joe Flacco had almost a fairy tale return last season, and kind of saved the Browns season. But it's all going to be about Deshaun Watson and what he can bring to the table this year for the Cleveland Browns. Can he stay healthy? And if he is healthy, can he start bringing back at least some of those elements that you were talking about that we saw from him in Clemson and in Houston? He can't just be an average run-of-the-mill guy. You don't have one of the best running backs in football anymore. I mean, he's still there, but he's going to be a fraction of himself. He's obviously got some weapons. Amari Cooper, bringing in Jerry Jeudy. I know Jerry Jeudy isn't super high up your favorite list of receivers, but as far as a wide receiver 2 goes, I think he's serviceable, especially someone to go on the other side of Amari Cooper. And another piece that we haven't mentioned yet, David Njoku. I mean, he proved to be a very top tier tight end, at the position last season. So they've got pieces to make a run. I love their defense. I think that, they do have a difficult division, obviously, having to go up against mainly the Browns or the Bengals and the Ravens. But, it's a team who has a lot of potential. And really, I think they're going to go as far as Deshaun Watson takes them. Obviously, due to personal reasons, not the biggest Deshaun Watson fan myself. So can't say I'm necessarily rooting for the Browns, especially because my Miami Dolphins playing this season. But I think that they have a very realistic shot of going one way, being kind of on that centerpiece where you can either fall onto the right side of the fence or you can fall off onto the wrong side of the fence. You really just have to make sure that everyone's playing up to potential, and we see at least a little bit more of a glimpse of that previous Deshaun Watson that we haven't necessarily seen in a Browns uniform.
By the way, Alex, your Dolphins played the Browns week 17, and my Jags host the Browns week 2 for all your best ball people. And I think I've done 50 million maker drafts. Miami, Cleveland, week 17. It might be cold, but give me Tyreek Hill, Jalen Warner, and Amari Cooper, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great stack if you can land it. I know we've been doing plenty of drafts, and every time seems like you keep falling in that 5th pick, and I know you've got a decent amount of Tyreek Hill shares. So I'm sure
you won't believe this. You won't believe this. At the 104 last night in one of my drafts, guess who I drafted? Jamal Chase for the 79th time this summer.
Yeah.
I'm either getting 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
I think I got one Tyreek Hill at the 5.
Mm, gotcha. But yeah, no, it's going to be a very interesting season from the Browns this year. As I kind of said, I could see their season going a multitude of different directions. I think health is going to be the biggest thing. Obviously, with the quarterback carousel of last season, losing Nick Chubb to potentially, a career-altering injury. We'll see eventually when he comes back, how he's going to look. But you can't have too high expectations for him, and the defense has got to keep him in ball games and just make sure that any game's winnable, and offense has to get it done from there.
So we head from Berea, Ohio, to the Steel City, where I can't believe it, but wait, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season
Yeah,
in what 16, 17 years there.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to be, one of the craziest stats in sports. I mean, just the fact that you've been able to keep that level of consistency throughout that time. Obviously, playing with Big Ben for the majority of that, you had a stability at the quarterback position, which is necessary to keep a record like that. But Ben's been retired for quite some time now. They haven't brought in the greatest quarterbacks to replace him, and he's still kept that record going. It's going to be an interesting season. Obviously, they've got another change at the quarterback position, made 2 changes at the quarterback position by bringing in Russ and Justin Fields. There's been, yeah.
Question about the Steelers.
Right.
Assuming Russell Wilson's calf is healthy, who starts week 1, and how early do we see Justin Fields start a game? Not come in and be a pinch runner or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you answered your own question there, but I fully agree with you. It's going to be Russell Wilson to start the season. I mean, unless there's an injury or anything like that, Russ is going to be the guy. As far as how deep does he go before being replaced? I mean, I think only Russell Wilson's going to be able to give you the answer to that question. We know what Russ has. We know what he's capable of. Obviously, the Denver Broncos experiment, the Sean Payton experiment, did not work out for Russell Wilson. He's looked like a fraction of the man that we saw throwing the football in Seattle. Can he return to that old Seattle glory, or is that Denver Russell Wilson the Russell Wilson that we're going to see moving forward? I'd like to say that, he can kind of take a step back into his previous self. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older. The problem is the Steelers have such a difficult division. I mean, I think they were lucky to finish 10-7 last season. They've definitely made some moves. Obviously, they brought in Patrick Queen from the Baltimore Ravens. They had a couple draft picks that looked good. They brought in Deshaun Elliott from my Miami Dolphins, a very strong safety that I was disappointed that we lost. They're going to pair him with Minka Fitzpatrick back there. But, I don't think it's a team that's good enough to truly compete for the division or really compete for the playoffs this season. I don't really know, to be honest with you, when Justin Fields makes an appearance. I think that they're going to want to hold on to Russell Wilson as long as they can, but it's not a bad option to try. If it's starting to look like Russ isn't getting the job done. I mean, when do you think we might see Justin Fields?
I didn't want to see Justin Fields early and often, whether it's starting or not, but Russell Wilson feels like he's past his prime. I'm intrigued by what Justin Fields can do. Maybe it was part of the Chicago Bears problem, but part of me thinks Justin Fields will see the field. Whether it starts or not is another issue.
Yeah, we see
I think Justin Fields could start week 6, week 7, certainly before the bye week is possible.
I mean, okay, so here's a bit of a variance to that question. How many losses do you think it would take before they move on to Justin Fields? Because I mean, if we're at week 6, week 7, and they're 3-3, I don't think that they're going to make that change. If they're 2-4, 1-5, 3, and If it starts obviously going downhill from there, then that's a different conversation. But how bad do they have to be to see Justin Fields?
Honestly, it might not even be wins or losses. It might be what Russ can or can't do at this point for his group. Because you look at the schedule: Atlanta at Denver, LA at Indy. The Steelers don't play a divisional game until week 11, and I don't think I would want to throw you want to throw Justin Fields against Baltimore or Cleveland? No, I think if anything, it might be a situation where the old saying is you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. The Steelers might just break the trend this year.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. It's going to be interesting to see for sure. I'm definitely intrigued by the Justin Fields saga. I mean, I think a change of scenery is going to be very good for him. Obviously, that really didn't seem like he was wanted by the Chicago Bears, and it's going to be interesting to see what he did. To your point, I mean, I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five. Week 6 against the Raiders. I mean, the tricky thing about that is the very next game is against that stingy Jets defense. But after that, you've got the Giants and Commanders, following up those games. I mean, definitely not bad teams to be going up against to get some confidence going. But, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's in Russell Wilson's hands, obviously. He just might not have it anymore, and that could be his downfall. But at least you have a contingency plan if you're Mike Tomlin. At least try and save that winning record streak.
Yeah, and also I'd love to see JJ Watt play more playoff games because I'm not sure how many defensive players are better than that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. Obviously, coming from his brother, we have known the Watt family very nice and well over the last decade or so, and he's done nothing short of matching, if not even surpassing, what his brother did. He's a phenomenal talent, and the Steelers are very, very grateful to be having him lining up in black and gold each week.
Okay, so we've done Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. There's one other team left, and I think by the time this episode is finally taped, recorded, his hairstyle might change one more time.
Yeah, obviously, I think we all know we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and Slim Shady himself, Joe Burrow. To kick this off, Dylan, I have a question for you. Joe Burrow, Mr. Slim Shady himself. Is he, and if not, tell me who, but is Joe Burrow the most important quarterback to his team in the NFL?
Joe Burrow is the most important quarterback to his team in the NFL, and it's not close. And I know everybody's going to say the Kansas City Pat Mahomes is more important than Joe Burrow. Andy Reid's won playoff games with far less talented quarterbacks than Pat Mahomes. He's won division titles. I mean, remember the playoff games with the Eagles winning playoff games with Don McNabb, with Jeff Garcia. Heck, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs used a backup quarterback against my Jaguars in the division round. Andy Reid, the coach, I don't worry about the quarterback. I actually think if Mahomes went down, the Chiefs would be just fine without him. But as we saw last year, yes, Zach Taylor's a really good head coach.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow has been to 2 AFC championship games and a Super Bowl in the 2 years he's been healthy. In the 2 years he suffered debilitating injuries, since then he's not sniffing a Super Bowl and didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you've pretty much hit it right on again. I mean, we saw the record last season, 9-8. We saw what the Cincinnati Bengals did with either a banged up Joe Burrow or no Joe Burrow. I mean, it is a complete different team, a completely different franchise when Joe Burrow is under center and healthy. And, I think every NFL fan, wants to see Joe Burrow, unless maybe you're a a Ravens, Browns, or Steelers fan, but I think every NFL fan wants to see Joe Burrow healthy, competing with Patrick Mahomes. Of course, we know the rivalry between those two teams. We'll definitely get to see them nice and early. They match up in week 2, so that's going to be a fun one to see. And I'm honestly, looking at the Cincinnati Bengals roster, I mean, I think you take a little bit of a hit dropping down to Zach Moss from Joe Mixon, but Joe Mixon's not getting any younger at the end of the day either. He obviously had quite a few contributions to the Bengals throughout his career, but it was just time to move on there. And I think we see a completely different Cincinnati Bengals team this season. I mean, it's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins. I mean, it's a loaded roster. Even bringing Mike Gesicki from New England, he's been one of my late round best ball guys I've been trying to target, especially if I have some Cincinnati stacks. I'm sure you got a couple teams on with him on your Jamar Chase teams, and it's going to be a team. I mean, they're opening up the season against the New England Patriots. There's going to be. I mean, you're going to want to take Bengals spread on that one because I don't see how that game stays close for a second, and should be a good way to kick off the new season for the Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals.
Have you seen the trash talk from the Bengals? It's like, somebody making guarantees, like all this trash talk from Cincinnati about New England?
No. Why would Cincinnati Bengals players be talking trash about New England? That just seems like a waste of breath to me.
I don't know, but maybe that's what happens late July, early August, right?
I don't know. That sounds like a 9-8 team talking instead of what the Cincinnati Bengals are expecting the record to be this year. I mean, I'm all for a little bit of trash talk, but you got to pick on the guys who are around the same size as you, not one of the teams that's probably going to finish with 4 fewer wins this season. So, it's interesting. I mean, maybe they're just hyping themselves up for week 1. They're ready. I'm sure these guys want to get the season started just as badly as us fans do. And, maybe they're just trying to get a little bit of juice to kind of push through training camp or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but, I don't think there should be much of a need for trash talk from Cincinnati Bengals players because as long as they show up on that on week 1, they should have no problem taking out the New England Patriots.
By the way, I think Joe Burrow and Jacoby Brissett week 1.
Yeah, I think the betting odds will be very heavily skewed on that one.
I think the last check was Cincinnati -9.5.
Yeah, and I'd be very comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think I would too. Might be my eliminator pick week 1.
Honestly, I might be tailing that on you. We'll have to see.
Although I don't know who else I would like week 1. Maybe there are a couple other games I could do.
Yeah. I mean, week 1. I don't know if you want to get rid of Buffalo that quick, but Buffalo's got Arizona. That should be a pretty straightforward pick there. Maybe the Chargers. I don't even think I trust the Chargers over the Raiders. The Chargers burnt me on my eliminator last season, so I don't know if I could start off with that. But
making a bold prediction right now, I think the Chargers win double-digit games.
You think the Chargers win what?
Double-digit games this year.
Yeah, I mean they definitely have the talent too. They definitely have the quarterback to do it. But I've stopped trusting the Los Angeles Chargers a long time ago.
The Chargers, and I've lost so much money on the Falcons and Chargers.
Yeah.
I picked the Falcons to win the NFC South. What am I doing?
I mean, this is a whole different Falcons team than we've seen in the past, but we'll see. I think my opinions of the Chargers have been pretty known on this channel.
Okay, so whatever happens here, somebody's going to be mad and somebody might fight you. So who wins the AFC North?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have as good of a shot as any, but I've got to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, there's too much talent. Bringing in Derrick Henry, it's going to change that offense for the better, which I didn't even know was possible. I do give all the credit to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think they're going to put up a heck of a fight. It's going to be close, to the end there. Even the Browns, like I said, with that defense, I think that they've got some pieces to at least make it interesting, maybe throughout 3/4 of the year. But I mean, I'm looking at the Ravens dominating that division, Joe Burrow or not, last season, and you add in, a Derrick Henry to that offense. It's Baltimore's division to lose.
Alex, you forgot the one big term in the AFC North. Who dey?
Yeah.
It's Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow's healthy this year, the Cincinnati Bengals win the AFC North.
There's a very good likelihood that could happen. Like I said, I was pretty stuck between the two. I think, the thing is you're leading that with an if Joe Burrow's healthy. Obviously, we know he is right now. Can he sustain that throughout 17 NFL games? We will see. I'm going to go with the team who proved it to me last season and added one of the best players of our generation at his position. If Joe Burrow stays healthy this season, they're going to give it a good competition. That's for sure.
All right, so that means everybody in Pittsburgh and Cleveland will be fighting us, right?
I think so. I think that's about how that's going to shake out.
All right, so thanks for hopping on as we preview the AFC North. Tune in soon as we head from the AFC to the NFC North as we look at the Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Bears. Almost like the Wizard of Oz. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my!
Yep. Now it should be a good one. It's going to be a fun division to talk about too. Thanks for having me on, Dylan, as always. And Pins up there.